Well, good morning, everyone. How you doing? Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we are looking forward to our little session together. And as you get your notices and Nativity, good morning. And we'll say hello to our dear friends. And you guys are the dearest friends, I'm telling you. Cheryl and Nativity, thank you for coming on. Lori Lee, we appreciate you guys. And Lori Lee's from Ventura, California. Madeleine, bonjour. Sue, good morning. Kevin, how are you, my buddy? Ron, how are you? Northern Idaho, good to have you on. Karen, Jen, Cape Breton, and Sandra from Brampton. Anne, thanks for coming on. Bonnie, Little Britain, Betty Lynn, Jeanette from our staff, Mike from Norland, and Lynn, bonjour, from Verner. Ken, good morning. Anna, and Nancy, Iowa, how are you? Anna, Gatineau, Quebec, and Blair, and Chantal, and Andre, how are you guys? Marl, Ottawa. Cheryl's from West Virginia. Oh, I want to sing. Sandra, Grace, good morning to you. Tammy, how you doing? And Lorraine from British Columbia. Marianne, Northern California. I think there's a song there too, Marianne. Maria, Debbie, Sturgeon Falls, Ashley. And we appreciate you guys. Carol, couple of more. Gail, Saskatchewan, Sharon, and let me get this right. Catricia, I like that. How are you, Catricia? Rhonda, oh, Rhonda, Anna, Mara, and Karen from Kincardine. Kadachu, how are you doing? Marlene, good morning. Robinson, is it Ellen? Probably Ellen Robinson, right? I just missed someone. Where's Wendy? I gotta ask, because when we're missing people, at least I didn't see their name. Okay, guy, Pam, how are you, Pam? And we appreciate you guys. Okay, now, if you guys remember this book, I started out with, should actually have a contest on this, okay? The Metabolic Reset. By the way, coming back in my new book, Sun, Steak, and Steel, coming soon, the reset is back in it, okay? So for those who want a hard copy and not the one online, it's coming back. The reset, I've rewritten the reset, the Metabolic Reset, in my new book, okay? It's in there, okay? Coming to a theater near you. Okay, now, in this, I started out, okay, in the preamble by saying what, okay? I don't know if you guys remember this, okay? It was the elephant in the room. Houston, we have a problem, okay? And that's what I want to talk to you about today. And I want to put these things together because they come together. And what is that? What's the problem, the major problem in the world today in terms of health? Is it a virus? Is it? No. The elephant in the room, even during the virus, was not the virus. It was pre-existing conditions. And what they didn't tell you with pre-existing conditions is that they were all the same, those pre-existing conditions. They all came out of one root cause. What was that cause? Okay? What was it? Metabolic syndrome, right? I said that back in, 2020. Okay? 2019, whenever it came out. I was screaming blue murder. Because we had a problem and we went about it the wrong way. And now, you go back and what do they call that? Monday morning quarterbacking. You go back and look, and I hate to tell you, I was right. Because the only people that succumbed to the virus, with almost no exception, was what? People that had metabolic syndrome. They had pre-existing conditions like diabetes and heart disease and, that kind of thing. And we closed the whole world over that. And, of course, one of the biggest things that I screamed about was getting people out of the sun. Ooh, that drove me crazy. Okay. I happened to be in Florida when they were closing the beaches. And I knew I couldn't change it. When I can't change something or I can't change somebody's mind, I stop talking. Hey, you don't want to listen. I'm not wasting my time. So, I talked to a few politicians. They weren't listening. I talked to physicians. I figured, okay, I know the way you're trained, but, would you admit this? The only people that are at risk are the ones that have pre-existing conditions. If you're healthy and, again, guys, I talked about this all the time about the importance of your immune system. And that's why, guys, this is why vitamin D was suppressed, was poo-pooed. You couldn't talk about it. Not in the mainstream media anyway. Anyways, okay? So, today, Houston, we still got a problem. Big problem. And I want to talk to you today and put this together. Okay? I want to talk to you today about our problem. If you looked at our healthcare or our health problems today, what are the main problems? Obesity. Look around. Use your eyeballs. Visualize. What's happened to people? We got a lot bigger. And not in a good way. Okay? 1. 2, metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome, okay, can happen to skinny people too. So, obesity, for sure. 2, metabolic syndrome. Characterized by, okay, what is metabolic syndrome? Why does 93% of the population have metabolic syndrome. It's astounding. High blood pressure, higher than normal blood sugar, low triglycerides, high HDL, and visceral fat, belly fat. And I add uric acid to it, okay? I do that. Just because I believe that that's a biomarker for metabolic syndrome, okay? High blood pressure, epidemic today. High blood sugar, epidemic today. High triglycerides, epidemic today. Low HDL, low cholesterol, epidemic today. Okay? And visceral fat. Okay? Fat. For a lot of people, fat that you can't see. Because they talk about belly fat. And yep, you can see that. But what you can't see is fat around the organs. Look behind me. For those who are watching on Facebook, look behind me. See that 5 pounds of fat? Okay? And on the podcast, visualize it. This big, ugly, yellow glob that is a foot long and 6 inches wide. And I'll tell you something. If that wraps around an organ, heart, liver, gut, dangerous, dangerous fat. It's an organ unto itself. It has a life of its own. Okay? So, 1, obesity. You can see it. 2, metabolic syndrome. Can't necessarily see it, but you can measure it by blood work. Why do you think, guys, that I encourage you, send me your blood work. I'll tell you whether you have metabolic syndrome or not. Whether you have the condition insulin resistance in your body. Okay? Big problem. Because. Why? Because you can take a direct line from metabolic syndrome. Okay? The world hasn't figured this out yet. You guys have. But you can take a direct line and go right over. And what is the major cause of heart disease? The #1 killer in society today. What is it? It's high triglycerides and low HDL, high blood pressure, and even though it's within normal limits, it can be in the upper range of blood sugar. What does blood sugar do? What does it do? It destroys your blood vessels. So you have a direct connection between metabolic syndrome and a direct connection, heart disease. And we talked about this yesterday. There's a direct line between metabolic syndrome and cancer. Okay? A direct line. Now, I'm not saying every cancer is that, but one thing we know, cancer needs fuel. True or false? Cancer cells need to eat, just like other cells, except they have a preference. What did I tell you all the time? Cancer hates steak, even though the world would tell you, oh, don't you eat red meat because that's going to give you cancer. Don't you eat red meat because that's going to give you heart disease. Is that true or false? That's true. That's the way the world thinks. But they're dead wrong. Because cancer does not survive on steak. Cancer hates eggs, hates them. Cancer hates cheese. It just hates it. It can't feed on it. Okay, so I know what they say. Who are they? Remember, you gotta go behind the scenes. Okay? You gotta go behind the scenes. I was teaching the young people this weekend in Northern Carolina. Go behind the scenes of the world and see how the world operates. Go behind the scenes. Don't get caught into the flow and people don't even think anymore. It just, it must be true. I see people today, even today, here we are, 2023, and people, they wear a mask. Still. And they think it's protecting them from a virus. I mean, the first day in medical school, the first day, they teach you viruses, they're so stinking small, you can't protect yourself from that. You better have a good immune system. No, they don't teach that in medical school anymore, but they should. But they will teach you that a virus, you can't protect yourself from a virus. You have to do it internally. But they don't listen. Okay? So, you got obesity, you got metabolic syndrome. 93% of the population, and what is it in the United States and Canada? 50% of the population are obese or overweight. 80% of the population is overweight. Obese, it's 50%. We got big problems. What in the heck happened? With all the scientific advancements that there is in society, and here we are. We're worse health-wise than ever. Yeah. Because we've lost our collective minds. We are not thinking. The world is just, the world's like gravity. There's a constant pull to conform. Don't question. Don't question the authorities. Don't question the elites. And they have narratives. One of the narratives is the climate. You don't even want to get me started. Okay? Can I guarantee you one thing? In Sudbury, Ontario, we get winter. And the day we don't, you can talk to me about the climate changing. Climate changes every day. Just live in the north. Ugh. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. That's political. That's political. So guys, but I told you we have 3 problems. Okay? I've only talked to you about 2. Oh, by the way. Okay? So remember with metabolic syndrome, you got to understand how I think. Metabolic syndrome, draw a straight line across and you got heart disease. Draw a straight line across equal cancer. Draw a straight line across and you got Alzheimer's. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And draw a straight line across and you got diabetes. Which is, again, you talk about an epidemic today. Okay? Now, the third major problem that we have in our health today, okay, obesity, metabolic syndrome, which is heart disease, which is cancer, which is Alzheimer's, which is diabetes. Okay? It's metabolic. And the connection is on the third one. You know what it is? What is a major crisis in our society today? Major. Mental health. Mental health. We have, and I'm not throwing this word lightly around, a mental health crisis in North America. Big time. Big time. And all I'm going to say to you is the more they research mental health, the more that the traditional thinking of mental health is being turned upside down for those who will listen. This summer of 2022 ought to have turned the mental health profession and professionals, it ought to turn them on their heads. What did they say? Depression is not a chemical imbalance. What? No. It's not. Now that might happen, but it's not what started it. Bipolar is not a chemical imbalance. All came out in the summer of 2022. Study all the reviews of all the studies. And what they were looking at is why does antidepressants, why is, here was the question. Why is medication really not working? It was almost like, what's the difference between placebo and SSRIs that are like candy today they're giving out? And they found out, man, we haven't done well with traditional medicine. We just haven't done well. And the research was showing, in depression, in bipolar, and the third one, Alzheimer's. That Alzheimer's was not, protein in the brain, amyloid plaque. It's not. And again, it doesn't mean that there's none of that there. It just means that's not the cause. That's what they said. Now, did the mental health professionals change? Did they repent with sackcloth and ashes? Not even a bit. Not even a bit. So don't wait for medicine to change. I.e., example, cholesterol. Don't wait for them to change their mind. I've been telling you guys, and I've been telling my patients, I've been telling people on my radio show for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, for many years, consistent, cholesterol is not the cause of heart disease. If it was, we would have fixed it by now. It's just not. It's not. Well, it is. I shouldn't say it's not, because cholesterol is a problem. When it's low, cholesterol, when cholesterol is low, you're in trouble. Your heart's in trouble when your cholesterol is low. What? Yeah. What have I taught you guys? What if I taught my audience? What's dangerous in your lipids? They don't even look at it. Fat balls, triglycerides, not cholesterol. You want high cholesterol. Oh, Dr. Martin, what about my total cholesterol? Well, good. Is it high? Yeah, good. What about my LDL? They made LDL and now they got lipo, they got lipoprotein and, they make it up. Don't wait. Don't wait for health professionals to change their mind. It's not going to happen. If it does, it won't be rapid. I can't see it. There's too much behind the scenes going on. It's too much. And, it doesn't matter how much I scream for me. Look, you get me, okay? Why am I so passionate? Okay? Well, because the truth will set you free. I'm passionate about that. And when I see someone lying, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. It bothers me. You just got to go back to some basics in physiology, in biochemistry. I mean, again, I'll bring you to cholesterol. Since when is cholesterol bad for you? When I was in school, cholesterol wasn't bad for you, not as far as, looking at numbers or whatever. They didn't talk about it because they didn't have statin drugs yet. That's how old I am. Now, the food industry was talking about cholesterol. The cereal companies were talking about cholesterol. Dr. Kellogg's was talking about cholesterol being bad. Why? Because they wanted to sell you a lie that cereal is better than bacon and eggs. It started with that. And margarine is better than butter because it doesn't have cholesterol. Do you remember that? I know, I'm ancient. But when that happened, I was screaming. That's not true. Day one in biochemistry, you can't live without cholesterol. Your cells are made up of cholesterol. Your brain is made up of cholesterol. Your eyeballs are made up of cholesterol. You need cholesterol. Why? Because they're transporters. They make up your cells, plus they're FedEx on the highway and byways of your blood vessels. They're the good guys. They're the firemen. They're the police. They're the good guys. They're not bad guys. And all of a sudden, it almost changed overnight. I'm not kidding you. Cholesterol became the boogeyman. Holy moly. The boogeyman. And they said it, they said it, they said it, they said it, and guess what? It's a narrative. And you better follow suit. And doctors, because they forgot about nutrition, they don't even get it taught, they don't think about it. Well, must be true. Research is showing, research paid by the pharmaceutical companies. And they haven't even made a dent in heart disease. Heart disease is worse than ever. I rest my case. Coming back to mental health. They're connected. It isn't what they thought. including Alzheimer's, which is the third leading cause of death in Canada and the United States, and number one in the United Kingdom. It's the leading cause of death in the United Kingdom. Why is that? Amyloid plaque? Nope. It's not that. It's metabolic syndrome of the brain. And now they're getting very specific, guys. Okay? They're getting very specific. You know what it is in the brain? It's your battery packs, your mitochondria. And what changes your mitochondria? Think about it. What changes your mitochondria? They're battery packs. Fuel. And what happens in the brain is this. Your brain is overfed but undernourished. That is a huge underlying cause of mental health problems. Overfeeding of the brain and undernourishing the brain. Too much and too little. What are carbs? What are crappy carbs? It's fuel, all right, with void of nutrients. So your mitochondria are your battery packs, which takes your food and turns it into fuel, ATP, okay? You got a lot of garbage coming at that mitochondria, and the mitochondria, you know what? It's overfed but undernourished. And now you get a bad fuel burning. You know me and my analogies, okay? You know me in that. Wood stove. You have a log cabin, okay? You want to heat it. You're going to bed, and you want the fire to last. You put paper on in the wood stove, or do you burn logs? You know the answer to that. Last week, I flew. I got on an airplane. Okay? Now, did they put 87 octane in the plane? The trucks that come up and put fuel in those jets, what kind of fuel are they using? I'm waiting. Jet fuel. Oh yeah? Well, what's different? Why can't I have jet fuel? Well, it's 99% octane. Those jets, I'm sorry, it ain't 87. Okay? At the gas pump. No. It's 99.9. It's a different fuel. And your brain operates on a different fuel if you will give it the right fuel. And what they're saying now, the new research is coming out. And they're saying that we've been looking for love in all the wrong places when it comes to mental health. Now, I'm not saying there's no emotions involved. I'm not saying there's no family dynamics. I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is this. Why is it that some people, okay, because it's a good question to ask, you put two people and you put them in the same environment. You know, a bad home, bad everything. And one thrives and the other one doesn't. They're the canary in the coal mine type of thing. It's fuel, my friend. You go back, it's fuel. The problem is with mental health, okay? This was always something that I've said, by the way, because I used to see it in autistic kids, ADD and ADHD. And, you know, I used to tell the parents, it's fuel. Yeah, they're the canary in the coal mine. Their brain is hypersensitive. They're the canary in the coal mine. One of your children, they're getting away with it, bad eating. But you see this little guy or this little girl, they don't get away with it. And they have, I used to say this, so I said they really have diabetes of the brain. What? Yeah, they got diabetes of the brain. They don't do well with a bad fuel. They just don't. They need high octane. They're a jet. I remember telling a kid, you know, because I had to explain to the parents, and then I had to explain to the child. Children are very smart, by the way. They are really smart. They watch parents like a hawk. Okay? You know, they're really intelligent. So I used to look at little Johnny and say, Johnny, listen to me. You are special. What? Yeah, you're special. Okay? You're special. You need special fuel. What? I said, well, listen, I'm going to tell you a story about my car. Okay? I had a sports car. Oh, they like cars. Kids, boys like cars. Okay? Little boys. I said, look, I had a sports car. And when I bought it, the guy who sold it to me said, listen, when you go to the gas station, don't you put that cheap fuel in there. You got a turbo engine, put the turbo fuel in. In those days, it was 93 or 94. I can't remember. You got it, Doc? I said, okay. I don't know anything about it. But if you tell me, that's what I'm going to do. I told little Johnny, you're special. Your brain is special. Yeah, it's special. It needs high octane fuel. Okay? When you see all your little buddies, they're eating sugar and ice cream and cookies and that kind of stuff, your brain don't like that stuff. I said, you're special. They loved that when they found out they were special. So when you see somebody that's depressed, they're special. Someone that's autistic, they're special. They're not worthless. They're special. They need a different fuel, that's all. You want to see? They silence that talk. Oh. Okay, guys. We got, you know what tomorrow is? It's question and answer Friday. Okay? So send in your questions. Okay? Send in your questions. We love you guys more than you know. Yeah, more than you know. How could I do any of this without you? I couldn't. I'd have no venue. Okay? I'd have no venue. Thanks for putting up with my rants, and I mean that. Okay? I appreciate it. But you can see, like for me, I'm passionate about it. Okay? We can't solve all the world problems. Okay? But we can start with us. Okay? Joshua said, as for me, okay? As for me, and he said, my house, We will serve the Lord. That's what he said. And I say, as for me and my house, we're going to eat the right fuel. There we go. Okay, love you guys. Talk to you soon.